Hi! I was recently challenged by my brother Caleb to take part in the hashtag ALS Ice Bucket Challenge that's been going on Facebook. And while my desire is not to take away attention from ALS or research for it or any of the other attention that is needed in that area, something that is near and dear to my heart is the subject of PTSD. And I'd like to take this few minutes to educate you about the realities of PTSD and to discuss a way that maybe we can raise awareness for that as well.
PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. It's an anxiety disorder that can occur after a traumatic life event. These events can include assaults, natural or unnatural disasters, accidents, or military combat. There are 2.3 million veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. An estimated 20% of them are struggling with PTSD, and some of them don't know it or won't admit to it. Statistics say that 50% of them won't seek treatment because of the stigma associated with PTSD, and that out of the half that do seek treatment, only half of them will get adequate treatment. People who struggle with PTSD may not show it outwardly, but inside they are hurting. They may live very normal lives, work full-time jobs, and be respected members of their community. You can't tell by looking at someone if they have PTSD. But PTSD isn't just a military issue. It can happen to anyone who experiences a traumatic event, repeated trauma, or threats to their life. It is suspected that PTSD affects 5.2 million adults in the United States. A sudden traumatic life event, repeated abuse, or being the victim of a crime can cause PTSD. PTSD can manifest itself in many ways, as flashbacks, depression, anxiety, obsessive thoughts or thought patterns, and suicide or suicidal thoughts. It can be triggered by a variety of events, but for many soldiers the sounds of fireworks is particularly difficult because they sound so much like the artillery that they were surrounded with when they were deployed. For anyone dealing with PTSD, their ability to deal with normal, everyday stressors that you and I might take for granted is limited. They may not be able to drive, go to the dentist, or take a walk, depending on how their symptoms play out in their lives. If left unchecked, these symptoms can worsen or increase over time and cause more symptoms to appear. It's likely that someone with untreated PTSD will self-medicate with alcohol or drugs to ease the pain, or they may choose the ultimate pain relief, suicide. PTSD will not go away on its own. This year alone saw a 44% increase in suicides among male veterans under 30. I understand and applaud all those who, through their willingness to get icy water dumped over them and donate their money to the cause, brought attention to ALS and the need for further research. But I ask that you not forget that there are others struggling as well. I challenge you to find some way to share the message that PTSD does not have to be fought in the shadows alone. Find a picture that supports someone with PTSD and share it. Encourage your friends to keep it moving. Donate to an agency that supports those who suffer with this condition. Or, if you know someone who has PTSD or who is a caregiver for someone with PTSD, commit to being part of their support network. In case you're wondering how this affects my life, I have 2 loved ones that struggle with PTSD every day of their lives. In the description of this video, there are links to surveys that help you rule out the possibility of PTSD if you or a loved one is suffering. There is treatment and freedom. PTSD does not have to define who you are. Learn the symptoms, learn how to be part of a support network, and help others do it. Use your creativity to share about this silent killer among us. One final thought. I know there are many opinions about the U.S. involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. Please remember that our soldiers were doing their jobs when they were exposed to the conditions that caused their PTSD. They need our love, not our criticism.